Dear Diary, me again, Kathy Firelight. It's been a while since I've last written. So much has happened. Those strange men that were in town were actually working for the Lizard King, just like the stories. They burned down our wonderful town of Wacombe, taking me and the other villagers to a secret temple, imprisoning us there. It was super scary. After what seemed like weeks, our prayers were finally answered by Lady Juniper, a noble cleric of Demeter. She and her group of adventurers freed us and defeated the Lizard King. With Wacombe destroyed, she took us to the nearby city of Vandar in Talandria for safety. With tension rising at the border and more people fleeing to cities, the Count of Vandar wouldn't let us in. We had nowhere to go. Luckily, Lady Juniper was there and offered to build us a new town. Isn't she wonderful? In Vandar, Lady Juniper hired Miss Elizabeth. Along with her builders, Larold and Bront. With her adventuring party disbanded, Juniper thought we needed further protection and found an old acquaintance, the mighty centaur Hoers, who was making a living fighting at the pits in the city. With the group formed and us villagers ready, we headed east to the mysterious Tempest forest. As a little girl growing up in Wacombe, I was always told to stay away from the forest. You know, because of the constant thunderstorms and everything. But I heard that's not the worst thing. My friend Viry says it's full of magic and strange creatures too, and she would know, she's an elf. On our way, we did indeed see some strange things. On the road, our supplies were stolen by a band of orcs. Luckily, no one was hurt. But when we went to go get them back, Lady Juniper told me that they found our stuff with a giant magical crab monster. How scary! Despite this, we made it safely to our new home. Oh, it was so beautiful. It was an open grove of lush grass surrounded by the biggest trees. We even had a spring of crystal clear water that glowed in the moonlight. We were so lucky to have such a wonderful place. After settling in, we decided to name our new village after the forest itself, Tempest. I love it. It wasn't all easy though. Just like the village elder said growing up, the forest was a dangerous place. There were spiders, wolves, and even those orcs were back to steal our stuff. Lady Juniper, Miss Elizabeth, and Mr. Hoers went to get our supplies back, following the orcs all the way to their village to the south. They call their village Dorag. I guess it means Black Cliffs. I was told the orcs there were sick and starving, having their food and medicine taken by the crab monster from before. Lady Juniper told me that the orcs would not take any help from anyone without true honor. To prove this, they would have to undergo a trial by combat, which Mr. Hoers readily took on. She told me it was quite the spectacle. An arena full of orcs, chanting in unison, beating on large drums as Hoers faced off against the village champion Bishop. It was a bloody combat, but our Hoers won. After that, Lady Juniper formed an alliance with the orcs of Dorag, bringing back the alchemist Vilberg, their shaman in training Rendar, and his daughter Legazi. Oh, I love Legazi. She's so wonderful and gets along so well with the other children here. Speaking of children, they seem to be settling in quite nice. Casella is helping with getting food, and the dragon's children are helping their father with starting the crops. Little Talia even seemed to be taking a liking to Lady Juniper. So adorable. I am awfully worried about the Fields girls, though. They don't seem to be themselves ever since the temple. Those poor kids. I can't imagine what it must have been like to go through all of that at such a young age. It seems they're distracting themselves with magic of all things, which Elizabeth is more than happy to teach them. I hope it helps them out. Speaking of magic, I should actually ask Lady Juniper to teach me as well. With everything she's done for us, I think there would be nothing better than to be a follower of her goddess Demeter too. Over the next few days, Mr. Hoers, Mr. Rendar and Lady Juniper went north, where they found an entire forest of these strange purple crystals. There, Lady Juniper told me they met two Ents that were apparently big fans of comedy. According to the trees, Dwight K. Root and Michael Sapp, the storm crystals are slowly taking over the forest, including some of their poor Ent friends. The party agreed to help them find a way to remove them. On their way back, they fought a group of goblins at the abandoned tower to the north. When they returned, they gave Miss Elizabeth some papers and books found in the tower. Something about magical tomes and clues to more towers existing around the forest. Mr. Hoers also seemed very excited about his family sword. I'd ask him about it, but he still kinda scares me. That night, we discussed traveling to the dwarven city of Baltimore to the northeast to find a materials expert that would know more about the storm crystals. I've never been there before, so I was overjoyed when I was able to be a part of the team. Samantha and Fashion were also joining us. It was amazing to see Sam in her armor. I had nearly forgotten she used to be in the military. I remember barely being able to sleep that night. I was so excited to travel again. I think everyone was a bit restless before leaving. During the night, I could hear many of our party talking in their sleep. During our journey, after traveling through the eastern part of the forest, we ran into a group of dwarven adventurers called the Road Crew and teamed up to fight a group of giant ogres. Well, Fashion and I didn't fight, but everyone else was amazing. As a thank you, the Road Crew gave us instructions to pass into the city. The gates must have been the biggest things I've ever seen. They were nearly as big as the mountain. Dwarves are truly amazing. After passing through the gates, we took a boat ride through a channel carved into the mountain. When we looked into the water, there were these strange creatures. Our ferryman called them giant electric eels. I guess they are used as a defense for the city. Passing through the gate on the side of the mountain, we were greeted with the sight of the city of Baltimore, sitting in a snowy valley in the Gosfen Mountains. The city was truly wondrous, with giant stone statues, delicious-smelling foods, and people of all races trading goods from all across Edrei. They even have an upcoming festival. I'm so excited to go. Luckily for us, the festival has a blacksmithing competition where we might be able to find someone that can help us with the storm crystals. After getting into the city yesterday, our little group split up for a while, with Lady Juniper going to meet one of the competitors. I don't know all the details, but she said she was a human blacksmith named Nora. I thought a human smith in a dwarven city was strange, but she must be good. She is competing after all. Lady Juniper said she knew all about the storm crystals, but when asked to join, she got upset and left. Something must be bothering her. Maybe she's nervous about the festival. That day, Lady Elizabeth and Fashions visited the Temple of Tyr and the library to find inspiration for constructing Demeter's temple in Tempest. I heard the whole group met at the library and caused some trouble with the local acolytes, even breaking into the basement and reading runes in the forbidden sections. Sounded like so much fun. Last night, we all met back at the local Adventurers Guild. That place is crazy. As soon as we walked in, the biggest guy I've ever seen picked a fight with Hoers and kicked his butt. After the fight, Lady Juniper, Miss Elizabeth, and Mr. Hoers all joined the Adventurers Guild. I can't believe they made Lady Juniper the lowest rank. I told them what she's done, but they wouldn't believe me without evidence. It wasn't all bad for her, though. She did meet Mr. Pluto, a high-ranking paladin, and leader of a famous adventuring group. Despite his fame, Mr. Pluto seemed awfully nervous with Lady Juniper. I think he has a crush on her. I can see these things. Bet they'll be an item. Today, we had a wonderful day. This morning, I went shopping with Lady Juniper and Sam. We got some new outfits and all looked super cute. Afterward, we went to the Temple of Tyr, where Mr. Stout taught Lady Juniper some cleric stuff. We even all went out afterwards for paninis to celebrate. I heard Miss Elizabeth went back to the library to study more. She does work so hard. As for Mr. Hoers, I'm not sure what he did, but I assume it was pretty important. He seems so tired from running around town all day.
Get closer.
Like tense champagne is about to bubble.
Oh my god.
After all the trouble and misfortune lately, I'm truly grateful for fun days like today. My life has changed so much in the past couple of weeks, and I have these 3 amazing people to thank for it. I got to get to bed before the big festival tomorrow, so goodbye for now. Love, Kathy Firelight.